Hello again, wrestling fans, and welcome to another episode of Wrestle Dope, the wrestling radio podcast, live on justin.tv/WrestleDope, also on YouTube every week, youtube.com/TheWrestleDope. Subscribe to us there.
Yeah, and thanks for all your comments and feedback during the week. We appreciate it.
We're here to talk about wrestling, and we will start as we mean to go on with this week's WWE Monday Night Raw. From this past Monday night, and 16,000 fans packed out the O2 Arena in London for David Hasslehof to host Monday Night Raw, and he brought a very, very large amount of star power. It was undeniable, the celebrity that hit the building when the Hoff entered the arena.
From the get-go, yeah, it was full guns out with Raw this weekend. It always seems to be when they go overseas, they really step it up, especially in the London shows for Raw for the past couple of years. But the Hoff was on fire from the very start. I have to say, I really enjoyed Raw, and I really enjoyed the Hoff as a guest host this week.
Yeah, I mean, it started with this sort of bizarre tribute with the English fans chanting Hoff over and over. Now, perhaps that was stage managed and maybe they were told to do it, but it did come off as a bit weird. And then a couple of druid-like people came out. I kind of said to myself, where is the Hasslehof? Here he came in that car. But there again is the problem. We've already talked for a bit about Raw, and it's been nothing at all to do with wrestling. I mean, is that the fundamental issue that you're going to have with these guest hosts?
With some of them it can be pretty cringy, I think. With the Hoff, he didn't waste any time. I did think he appeared to be a little bit on it with the old... but at the same time, when he cut that promo, it was bang on, word for word, and he didn't fumble, he didn't have to stop. He was off the cuff, and he really delivered in the first segment, definitely, and I thought he was definitely a bit on it. I don't know why. Maybe I was just thinking that's just the Hoff, but I don't know. Do you think he was on it a little bit?
I certainly always question that with David Hasslehof. We've heard about his troubles in the past, and I suppose we can't comment on them much, but he's had his battles, and Hasslehof, certainly a guy that always bounces back, and indeed after so long he's still there. Now, the first thought I really had seeing Hoff in the ring was, really, this is exactly what Vince McMahon is looking for. Without a doubt, this is the sports entertainment that I think Mr. McMahon wants to see on his program, right?
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game. I mean, the first hour of Impact, although which was terrific as well, the difference in two products, generally what they were producing, you could totally see the difference when it was entertainment from both halves, but definitely showbiz entertainment from WWE.
Showbiz entertainment, and of course we had that women's title match. Now, Eve came out looking fantastic. Indeed, she looked quite radiant. Perhaps she knew, in fact she did know, certainly not a shoot fight between those two girls, but she knew she was going to be the new Divas champion. And indeed, with Maryse coming out, taking her on, Maryse had to do a bit in this match. She wasn't just left off in the sidelines. She didn't get away with doing nothing. Eve had to moonsault off the top ropes, which was a very impressive move, which landed straight into a bump. And indeed, Eve getting rough and ready, and certainly proving her worth as a Divas champion. Yeah,
I thought it was a really good start with this Divas match. I don't really pay too much attention to the going-ons of the Divas and that, but I didn't really want Maryse to drop that belt. I think she was like the Jericho of the Divas division at the moment, and really healing it up and healing it well every week. Eve made me kind of take notice this week, where before I always thought she just, I don't know, I didn't really get the whole Eve thing, and I don't know, I think she was a bit of a work, but Maryse dropping the belt, I don't know if that's such a good move, especially to Eve, but she did make me pay attention, and it was a good Divas match.
I'm certainly still very impressed by Maryse, and that heel sort of character she plays really just matches her personality look-wise. I mean, sometimes we expect her to be exactly how she is. And indeed, Maurice not pulling any punches on her commentary a few weeks ago, and she certainly had those caustic remarks for the other divas. That's hopefully where I think they will continue to go with her. I know they had an angle planned with The Miz, where those two might pair up. Perhaps that's what's going to happen with The Miz post Show Miz, maybe so. But indeed, Maurice's ring psychology always works me. I mean, that's the only way I can put it. Just last week's match, she did this sort of breaking down laughing spot where we know previously she in fact fainted. So she keeps you guessing.
Yeah, she's playing kind of the mystique side of things really well. And it is, when you see kind of character intimidation played well by the likes of I don't know, from the kind of male side, but I suppose over the years your Jake Roberts and the Drew McIntyre one would have me quaking in my boots a little bit. But yeah, I think Maurice, even the entrance and the sweeping hair and stuff, it is intimidation, and she pulls it off well. And like you say, that laughing thing and the collapse in the ring, it works for her, and she can. She's great on the mic, great in commentary. She's great all around. Probably the best diva in the division at the moment, I think.
This is it, and you have to look at how they are working you. That's got to be the most important thing. If you're not worked, if you're not in suspension of disbelief, then you're not ever going to buy the character. Certainly with Eve, we buy that she's athletic and can do great moves, but the character, really, it adds up to nothing. And Marie's certainly the polar opposite of that, with perhaps less good ring work in ring, but everything else makes up for that. I mean, just look at Jake the Snake Roberts. He was all psychology, really, wasn't he?
Oh, Jake did it best. No man like Jake. From everything with the snake to Jake being Jake, he was the man.
Yeah, indeed, we'd like to see a return of Jake the Snake Roberts. Maybe not that likely at the moment, but perhaps TNA could be calling for Jake very, very soon. Now, we had massive pops for Bret Hart, of course. Bret, traditionally, they say he's been huge in Europe. We have always known that, but apparently it was even said this week that Vince McMahon had been quoted by Bret Hart as saying that Germany was never as strong. Then when Bret left that company in '97, in fact, he said it never picked up after that. But indeed, Bret always popular in those European audiences.
Yeah, he does. He gets the pops. He was a big star, and I suppose having really built his ground with that Wembley SummerSlam back in '92, I think it was. Yeah, to put the Bulldog over there, I mean, that was a huge thing for him at the time. And yeah, he did the job, and I think people kind of warmed to him from then. And even the Hart Foundation thing and the tragedy with Owen, and he's always been kind of in the hearts of the British public.
Yeah, indeed, there was a bit of a long drawn-out promo between Bret Hart and Show Miz, with the Hart Dynasty arriving in there, still getting a bit of a push and a bit of direction from Bret Hart backstage, we hope. And indeed, D.H. Smith in a match there with The Miz. And indeed, D.H. Smith back on form, I would say. He certainly still kind of moves not as fluid as perhaps his father, but he has that moveset and he uses it right. I think he seems to know how to build a match. He just needs more time. He's still a bit green.
He is. Tyson Kidd's quite fun to watch, actually. I have to kind of mark out for him these days. But D.H. Smith, it's going to take a little bit of time, I think, before he really gets into his shell, and he's had quite a lot of time, so you'd wonder.